Welcome, Bill. Bill Artz from American Pilgrims. It's my most amazing pleasure to have you here, talking with me about the Camino de Santiago, and it's really I will enjoy this very much. Thank you so much, and I will.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me, Guilherme. I appreciate it. And good afternoon, good morning. I guess that evening for you. Good
Good
afternoon.
evening. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
So, so let's not start with the questions like a challenge. It's easy, even for you. I know they will be easy. I will playing two songs. But just after I play the second song, you answer, okay?
okay,
And you need to relate them to the Camino. So that's it.
okay, okay.
Okay, this was Lost from Coldplay. And now,
Oh, I know this song from one of the Camino movies. That's The Way, right? From The Way, I think.
it is. They are
Yeah,
both of them are from the way the movie.
yeah,
So
yeah.
let's.
I didn't recognize the first one, but the second one for sure. That's they're walking. I remember they were walking somewhere, and they played the second one. So yeah, they for me, the movie The Way, I think in general, just the movie The Way was a big the big issue, big thing for me, just because that's how I found the Camino. Um, I actually had eye surgery, and I was recovering from surgery, and I was afraid that I might not be able to see as well, or I was at one point worried about being blind in one eye. And in recovering from the surgery, I happened to watch the movie The Way. I had to sit in like a massage chair for a week with my head down. I had detached retina, and so you had to watch. When I watched the movie, it was through a mirror that was pointed at the TV, because I had to keep my head down in order to keep there was a thing they had to put to keep my eye in place, or retina in place. So I found the way from the movie The Way, the Camino from the movie The Way, and in the one scene where the Dutch guy, they're at Alto del Padron on the Frances, and he sees the bikers go up, and he says, "You mean you can do this by bicycle? Why are we walking?" So at that point, it just like the light bulb went on in my head, and I said, "You know what? I'm gonna do the Camino. I made a promise to God to pray and said that I would, if everything turned out okay and I was all right, I would go and do the Camino." And about 2 years, about a year and a half later, I actually did my first Camino. So, and I did it by bicycle.
Amazing.
So those two songs remind me of the movie and remind me of my first time how I encountered the Camino.
That is amazing. One of my the passage of the movie that I like the most is when Martin Sheen was left the ashes of his son around some places on the Camino, and then the Dutch guy he saw, and he struggles to find what he's doing, and a few moments later, he is watching Martin Sheen, and Martin Sheen passes by and he says, "My son." That is just, I don't know, amazing. So, what was your motivation to do the Camino Santiago?
Mine was my motivation was that I made a promise to God to do it, and so once I made that promise, my intention was to go and do it and keep that promise. I think for me, making a promise is important, and I don't like to break promises, even to anybody, so much less to God. So That was my motivation. Honestly, it was that promise, and once I made that promise, I was motivated to learn about it and learn what I could to plan out how I was going to do this thing, because up until that point I had no idea anything about the Camino. I never encountered it at all. But once that door opened, then it was everything came at me. All the different books and different things about the Camino. I got involved with. Started doing walks with American Pilgrims. There's a local chapter here in Chicago, so I went full out and tried to learn as much as I could about it so I could enjoy it. And the more I learned, the more interested I became in it. The more, there's so much about it. There's so much rich history of the Camino to learn. Even today, after a few years of being involved, there's always things that come up that you learn, like we were talking earlier about just different routes and different things and history of the Camino. There's so many different things that you can learn and learn about. So it's actually a very interesting thing to do for me.
Amazing, Bill. Unfortunately, I never had the opportunity of walk the Camino, walk or bicycle the Camino the way St. James the Camino francês. And you had it. What was the feeling of walking on bicycle? That's so special stage from Saint Jean Pied de Port to Roncesvalles on the Pyrenees.
The first day is the toughest day, and on the Frances is probably one of the tougher days outside of maybe a bad weather day or going up to El Sobrero, biking up to El Sobrero. But so the first day is probably your most challenging because, number one, you're green and you're a rookie. It's particularly for first-time peregrinos or pilgrims, and so you don't know really what to expect, right? My first day was actually one of my best days of the whole Camino, not just because it was exciting and it was something new and an adventure, but I actually walked for the most part almost the whole day with 3 Irish women, and they adopted me as Irish. And so I became their Irish son, and we had fun. As people know, and people that walk the Camino, you learn about people, and they tell you stories, and they tell you things about their life, and just different things. So it was actually one of my best days, even though it was a hard day, and both times were hard. I mean, the first time was hard. It was a little easier for me the first time, I think. The second time when I went with my wife, well, not wife, it was hard for her. She didn't really know what to expect. I mean, I was there for her, but it's not an easy day, that first day. It's and especially if you walk all the way from Saint Jean to Roncesvalles, it's a long hike and a tough hike, especially coming down. It can be hard on your knees. So it's not an easy day, but it was a wonderful day, and I had good fellowship that day with all those 3 Irish women. It's always been a great memory of mine. So. The first day was a great day. So the first time was enough to start. And, my wife, she learned, she had a tough day, and then, but after that, as you go along and you start to walk, you become stronger, right? Your physical body becomes stronger. And so you lose that anxiety, and you become more, as your body gets stronger, you become more open to the other things. You're not so much focused about how you're feeling, right? So that was I think the first day, and when we talk about walking that first day, that for me, that was my experience.
Amazing. So one of the things that impressed me more about you, and you have like this awesome quote on your Facebook page that says, remember that whenever your heart is, there you will find your treasure. How can you relate this quote to the Camino?
That's a good question, and because I never really put it in the perspective of around the Camino. It's a Paulo Coelho quote. I don't know where it comes from. I found it somewhere. I don't remember where I found it, but it struck me, and I think it's something that it struck me in terms of what it means. But in thinking about that question and how it relates to the Camino, I think where it means for the Camino for me, it's about your spirit and your heart, right? It's more about not so much logic, but more about feeling and spirit and heart is where that comes from. Is like it's not necessarily also about materiality or material things and things you have or whatever, but it's things that you carry around in your heart, whether it's love for your wife, love for your family, your for your friends, all those things that are important that you never really that don't have necessarily have a money value, but they have value, right? I mean, how do you value a friendship? That I have friends that are 40 years, I'm friends for more than 40, almost 50 years. I mean, those are invaluable relationships. So to me, that's where it comes from. And that's about the Camino is the fellowship. The best part for me in terms of my Caminos is the fellowship with other pilgrims or other peregrinos or peregrinas. So to me, that's where that special meaning comes in from that. It's really a treasure to have those relationships with those people and with pilgrims that have done it and the pilgrims I meet today.
That's right. So on the Camino, um, there aren't so many, but sometimes even I and suffer from some mental issues, not just physical issues, but mental issues with struggling with some things that others do, and it's awesome because from nowhere and from people that you doesn't know from every place of the world, from they can help you, they will help you to fight that problem, to set your mind right and to enjoy the Camino as you need to enjoy it. uh, I was just telling this because I passed some, I struggle a bit with in 2019 walking the Primitivo with some things that other pilgrims had done it, and I was I don't know, I was really struggling with with that moment. And there's like this Spanish guy that we had just exchanged some few words, and I guess a beer or two, a day or two before, and I was like in this plaza, in this I don't know avenue, and I was just struggling. I was like walking around in circles without knowing what to do, what's thinking. And this guy is a Spanish guy. He came to, he asked me, he calls me, and he says to me, what is going on? And I explained the guy more or less, and he just from nothing, he just says to me something like this: um, "Don't give matter to the things that doesn't matter," something like this. And these words in Spanish, in these words, uh, not also changed my life, but also changed my Camino. It's I don't know. And this guy had seen me like two or twice times. It was just a moment. That's the fellowship you talk, and that's it. That's really amazing.
What I find or I found and experienced not only in the Camino but well, on the Camino. Let's just talk about that. On the Camino, some days you're going to be need to be helped, and other days you will be the helper. In other words, you may be of have some impact on somebody else's life, or and when you need it, and as you know, the Camino provides, they'll be help for you, right? If you're struggling through something other than your mind or whatever, or struggling maybe with blisters, someone will come along and try to help you. I've seen many, even in my two Caminos, I've experienced that, both sides of that. You know, both in giving help and in receiving help. The last couple of days of my first Camino, I was struggling a lot, and I met a fellow from Barcelona who was actually we stayed friends for. We don't necessarily, I haven't seen him in person, but we talk often. I mean, probably once every couple of months, and he was a big help to me because he gave me that motivation to get done. He was, he encouraged me, and his fellowship and humor helped me get to those last few days to kind of push me to get over the hump and get done, get finished. Because at that point I think a little bit getting a little discouraged a little bit, and at the end and just to try to get done, and he really pumped me up and got me to get to the finish line. So and like I said, we're still friends today, and we talk often, and Other times I've helped people, in terms of just doing things. My first Camino, one of the things I did that was interesting for me was I tried to do something nice for someone every day. And the way I got that inspiration came from the movie The Way, because if you remember, there was a priest who used to hand out rosaries. He met a priest that, and before Martin Sheen was on his way to Burgos, he met the priest who had cancer. He was wearing the yarmulke.
Yes.
And so he was giving away rosaries. And he said, you never know when these are going to come in handy. So my idea was, well, I'll just do something. It doesn't have to be a rosary, but I'll do something nice for everyone every day. And it really made it, it was awesome, because the people that I did nice things for that weren't necessarily expecting it, it was such a happy experience for them to basically, get the help or get the offer, or even unexpectedly have this happen to them, that it made both my day and their day better. So, yeah, that's one of the best things about the Camino, is that you look out for each other. The pilgrims, everybody looks out for one another.
That's a Camino. Amazing. So, following, imagine if you can turn back time and go back to your best moment on the Camino. What moments would be?
I mean, I think, there's, when I mentioned before, those days that I help people, one in particular stood out, was my first day, in Saint Jean. I hadn't even started, and the first night, I stayed in Bill Artz, which is really one of the best albergues in Saint Jean, that's well known for being a really good albergue, and they have a really great program they put on there during the evening. And anyway, I met a French woman who was quitting. She was going to it was her last day. She had been walking in France. She had started somewhere in France. I'm not sure exactly where. She didn't really say. She spoke French, and I don't speak French. So I had gone to Lourdes. That was where I started my Camino. And I took a train from Lourdes to Saint Jean to start my walk and bike. But it was her last day. So she was very sad and upset. Because she was having a lot of pain in her legs, and she couldn't walk anymore. And it wasn't blisters, it was something else. So I had taken water from Lourdes. I had taken souvenirs of water that I was going to give out to take home with me. And I hadn't sent them back forward to mail back to the United States. So I gave her one. I came up to her and I gave her one of the vials of water that I had, because I thought, well, if she's hurting and she needs help, this might help her, at least her spirit. And she was so grateful, and I'll never forget the sound of her thank you. Her merci it struck me in my heart. And it was one of the special moments for me. So the very first day, not even a few hours already, it was a wonderful thing. And, and there were some special moments, like that was particularly one. My tough day was in El Sobrero, going up to El Sobrero, because it was a 4-hour climb by bicycle, and it was rainy. It was probably very cold that day, so I struggled. But then the next day was wonderful, it was sunny. So there's lots of special moments, but those are ones in particular. And the other one that wasn't necessarily a happy moment, but it was a moment that struck me in my life, was I met a fellow from South Africa. I was coming out of one of the oldest churches in Spain, which is in Porto Marin. I think it's St. Nicholas is the name of the church.
It is.
And so I was interested, and I just got out of the church. I had been sitting in there, and I was walking back and I was walking my bike. There was the cobblestones along there. So I was looking to go back on the path, and I saw a pilgrim coming up the path, and his feet were very bandaged. He had sandals on, and they were just bandaged. I mean, you could tell he had some problems with his feet. So I told him, I said, it's amazing you're still walking, and we had probably out of 10, like you said, that one gentleman that came along and gave you the comments. We had about a 10-minute conversation, and he said he was from South Africa. He had gotten trench foot. His feet had gotten wet, and the blisters, and it got infected and turned into trench foot. So it was a pretty serious problem. He actually left the hospital, and I said, well, he said, I'm amazed you're still walking. I'm, bravo. And he said, well, I have no place else to go. I live in South Africa. I don't have a job. my brother was murdered, and I was assaulted, and so I'm trying to figure out what to do with my life. And for me, the thing that struck me about that was everyone carries their own burdens, and you think your burdens are very heavy on your shoulder. Your mochila, how heavy that pack is on your back. And it struck me that, no matter how heavy my burdens are, it made me realize that there are other people in this world that have much higher and heavier burdens than me. And so it gave me a little bit better perspective and appreciation about my own life and what to appreciate about what was good about my life, and not get all bound up in those things that are worries or anxieties or troubles, and to know that there are good things there. And that I was very fortunate to not have those types of things that he was describing, right? So it's a matter of perspective and being grateful for things that you have and your life in general. So that was a really good lesson for me, and really a special moment.
Amazing. That's really nice. So one of the things that the Camino, like you say, it's more beautiful than the Camino is a fellowship, and one of the moments that that sticks out to my head, it's the joint meal, the joint dinner. Have you ever had like a joint dinner with many pilgrims,
Oh,
or
absolutely. I mean, there was one. I stayed in an albergue in Ponferrada, and it was a wonderful night. We had it was a brand new albergue, and I had gotten there early that day. And in Ponferrada, there's the Templar Castle is
yes,
there, so I stopped early, and I was looking for a place, and I couldn't decide where I wanted to stay. And there's an elderly gentleman, and he said, Senor, primo albergue. So he points to me where this place was. I don't remember the name of it now, but so I go there, and I'm the first one there, and it's brand new. Everything was spotless, clean, brand new recently renovated, brand new place. And so I'm the first one there. I get in, I have my shower, which is, being the first one in the shower, it's clean. And, not that it's terrible along the way, but it was a great thing to be able to relax and take that hot shower and be the first one and pick my own bed, pick on my own bunk, down the lower bunk. So I was having a good day, and I went to the castle and looked and did all that. And then I came back, and the place was full. By the time I got back later in that afternoon, the place was full. And probably about a dozen or so Italian guys from Italians,
yeah,
who were on Camino, and they were videotaped, and they were a blast. So the place was full. So what they did was, when I walked in, they were serenading the hospitalera with a song, a wedding, the night before a wedding, a groom was singing to his soon-to-be bride. And so they were serenading her to give a spot up in the couch so that one of the guys could sleep on the couch in the living room, right? So the 12 guys on beautiful harmonies, they had beautiful song. So you walk back in, and it's this. Well, they were blessed. They were a lot of fun. And you talk about fellowship, and they had a video cam, had a camera, and they were taping people and interviewing with people and asking them to say hello, because one of their fellow friends owned a butcher shop, and he he couldn't come. So they brought him along, and they were sharing the Camino with him by interviewing people and talking to people and telling them, okay, we're at dinner. So we had a wonderful time, wonderful homemade paella dinner, just terrific outside in the garden, and a beautiful night. And it was just a good day of just hanging out with 12 or 15 pilgrims and just having a wonderful time and sharing stories about your life and what you do, and finding out about other people. So and that's kind of a basic day on the Camino for dinners, where you, right, if you were staying in albergues, that's just kind of an everyday kind of thing normally, for the most part. There's a few others, but that one in particular stood out, right? That was one that was really special. That was very special.
that's really nice, really nice. So any more pilgrims that stick out to your head?
Oh, sure. We met two folks in my second Camino with my wife. We met two Swedish women from Sweden, and we became a family. They're like sisters to me now. but yeah, there's and we've had many stories and things along the way, and laughing about, the one thing that the question is what makes a true pilgrim, right? And so those things that come up, and it's kind of funny what people say about, you have to do this or you have to do that in order to be a true pilgrim, and that's a bunch of nonsense, right? Obviously, that's
Definitely.
just nonsense. It's just your Camino is your Camino. What you make of it, whether you carry your pack or not, whether you walk, whether you bike or ride it by horse, it's what part of your Camino is, yes, the distance that you're walking and whatever, but a lot of your Camino is what you take in your heart and in your mind, not so much as what and it is part of enjoying the scenery you're seeing and all the things, but it's also about your spirit and things that how you can have that special time to think about your life and what it means and those kinds of things. So yeah, we there's plenty of people that you meet along the way, right? Every day. So there's probably there's lots of special memories in that regard.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you, Bill. Now let's talk about a bit of your work. You are also really involved with American Pilgrims. Uh, Being on the board of directors, being the treasurer, I guess. And can you explain to us more or less what is your work there and what is the work for the American Pilgrims to help other new pilgrims, please?
Sure. American Pilgrims is an organization, American Pilgrims. And what we do is we foster the Camino by supporting its infrastructure, by gathering pilgrims and doing things to basically help people learn about the Camino, help people prepare for the Camino, and also help pilgrims and maintain their interest after they come home. So it's a full circle when it comes to from start to finish, soup to nuts, however you want to describe it. We're involved in many aspects of the Camino. For example, my first experience with American Pilgrims was in one of the local chapters or groups that here in Chicago. I went the first time and got in and learned about, had some folks that helped me understand and start to learn the learning process of the Camino, also prepare me physically to walk the Camino. So with all these hikes, monthly hikes every month. So there's groups there. We have 60 chapters more or less across the United States, local communities that foster and help pilgrims get ready, prepare, and fellowship with other fellow pilgrims that have both come back and full-time pilgrims. So there's the chapters part of it. Those are all the communities across the United States, from the East Coast to the West Coast. We were spread out all over the country, and there's 60 chapters with many. I don't even know how many how many pilgrims are involved in it, in that aspects of the local chapters, but there's thousands of people at one time or another have touched us, or we've touched them in some way. So that's one aspect of American Pilgrims. There's other programs. We do a grants program. A grants program is we support the infrastructure in Spain with donations to help albergue owner donativos with infrastructure improvements. So let's say your albergue needs a new roof, right? And so we'll provide funds and support to help that particular owner donativo make improvements for the benefit of pilgrims that are going to stay there, right? And make for the comfort of pilgrims. So we do that. That's a grants program, which is a very popular program. I don't even remember how it's well over $500,000 over the last 10 years or so that we've done in terms of grant monies and support albergues all throughout Spain. And I think maybe even in Portugal, there may be one or two that we've done in Portugal as well, in the history. So there's that. And then there's the Hospitalero training program. So we train Hospitaleros to serve in Spain and elsewhere in France and Portugal, to serve it as a hospitalero and albergues all across in many different caminos. So we do that. We've trained almost probably 700 hospitaleros, and we have the approval the federations in Spain to do that, so people can basically come and serve as hospitaleros. So we do that. We issue credentials for American Pilgrims. So not last year. Last year was down obviously because no one was doing the Camino, but I think we almost issued 8,000 credentials for American Pilgrims in 2019. So that's a big part of our job as well. So as you can see, we do a lot of different things all across the full spectrum of involvement in the Camino and supporting it. So it's good work. There's many people involved. There's, in addition to myself, there's 10 other board members. And then we have a number of volunteers, and we also have the folks that run the chapters. Those 60, we have probably another 140 people that across the country that are involved in helping at the local level. So we do good work. It's a fantastic organization. I love being involved with it. It gives me great joy. It's one of the things that, in terms of me giving back to the Camino and sharing my own experiences, it just really has blossomed. And I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would be doing this. If you had talked to me the day after I came home my first Camino, I would have never believed you that I would have been doing what I'm doing now today. So I feel blessed. It's an honor to do it. It's one of the things that gets me up in the morning every day and something to look forward to every day.
Before your first Camino, like you said,
Mhm.
you went to the chapter and you helped to. What's the key role for the American Pilgrims helping you to do your Camino?
Oh, many things. For me, I had talked to. Well, I did a bunch of different things. Like told you earlier, I'd done a lot of research. So, and I wasn't necessarily. Probably people would classify me as a spreadsheet pilgrim. Okay, but only not so much in that I would plan my day every day. I didn't necessarily say, well, I'm going to stay at this albergue. There was a couple that I did that I had a plan for, but in terms of just understanding all the aspects of the Camino, I was fortunate. The gentleman who was running the chapter here in Chicago was a really very smart, intelligent man, and he loved to walk and he loved to do hikes and he loved the Camino, and so he was my mentor. I had a mentor. Okay. And one of the things that at the chapter level, that's one of the things that pilgrims can do to help support newer pilgrims is we mentor pilgrims that are going to do their first Caminos, right? Or we offer advice for people that have done other Caminos that want to do a different one. So, but in this particular thing, which is I think a key thing, he was my mentor. So I had someone to help me and understand, okay, all those questions that I had, okay, what about this? What about that? What about my pack? How should I arrange my pack? What can I bring? What should I bring? What are the things what are the key things you need to bring with you, right? How much clothes should I have? What kind of other things should I bring? Should I bring medicine? Should I do this? So all those questions, he answered all those, which are all the tangible or physical things that you need to know, right? Okay, you're going to have to walk 20 kilometers, 25 kilometers a day. Here's kind of on an average. You're going to have to, here's your pack you shouldn't weigh more than 10% of your body weight. So all those facts on tangible things. Then the other thing, and I think more important, is to get your heart and your mind ready for the Camino. There's a mental preparation that if you can do that, it really makes your Camino better, right? So, for example, and this is something I didn't know, but something I know now that I learned after, is that there's a process that you can prepare yourself for. So when you come home on returning from your Camino, that you can understand how it affects you, right? Because, and Alexander Shaya is a gentleman, an author who wrote this book, Returning from Pilgrimage, and he talks about the process of taking those experiences and making them into your life and making change, right? And so that part of it, as well as part of that mentoring, is helping people prepare for the mental aspects of the Camino and the spiritual aspects of the Camino, whether it's religious preparation, which some people are, that's something important for them to have that religious experience, or just spiritual in nature, just your heart and your feeling and all those things that in terms of processing to make yourself live a better life, a happier life. right? I mean, that's kind of why people do Caminos. Is many people have struggles and challenges, and so it helps them live a happier life when they come back. And so that's part of this whole. That's a key part of the important and critical part of those folks in those local chapters. They do that work. They do that good work of spade work, that homework. You get people to get ready to go on Camino and have a really enriching and good experience. So it's a really important. All those things that American Pilgrims do, those different elements are all just as important as anything else. Just as important as the grants program of putting a roof on an albergue, getting a hospitalero trained so that you have a good experience when you walk into the albergue, and that serving the service aspects of that. And then those folks that are in the local level here in the U.S. that are doing the things to help people prepare to go, or when they come back and help them, guide them through the process of coming back from the Camino, and what all those things that you have, because certainly some people have a challenging time when they come back because they're not the same. The Camino changes you, and understanding those changes is really important. So some people, it is a difficult thing because, it's tough to process sometimes those changes, and tough to and make those changes. So all those things are all important in that regard. But that was my first experience, and it was a really valuable one, obviously. And here I am again. I'm actually involved in the group too. So it did have a good impact on me as well. So, and I can't stress that enough. That's a really important thing for everyone. Any pilgrim that's looking to do a Camino, that to have that help is something that they should consider.
Thank you for it. Thank you for your work. It really.
Yep.
I met some of the pilgrims from America. Actually, I have like three big friends, really big friends from Seattle, and they told me the most amazing things about the way that American pilgrims help them to walk the Camino. So thank you for your job and for your work. Now let's do questions, Bill. First, one of the most hard questions ever about the Camino. If something happens, something magic in the world happens, and you are walking the Camino, bicycling the Camino, and you have to repeat your day and do the same stage every day, what stage you choose?
Oh, that's a hard question. That's a hard one.
There's a lot, I know.
Do the first one. I would go back to Lourdes to start. It was a special place for me, as a healing place, a spiritual place. Many pilgrims all over the world come there to be healed, and I had a really good experience there. So for me, living that day that I spent, the full day I spent in Lourdes, would be one of those days. Just walking around, going around the grounds there is just, and doing the Stations of the Cross, walking up there, going to Mass, going and visiting the cathedral underground, where it's amazing. They have every saint. It's the huge underground cathedral. It's humongous. There, walk it, and they have banners of all the saints. And so you can, and underneath each name, they tell you about each saint. So just walking around and learning about the saints was really cool. And then just going to the grotto and praying and sitting there by the Gave de Pau and meditating and being near the cathedral and the grotto is just a calming and healing experience. So I would do that one for sure. And then on the actual route, I'd probably pick St. John to Roncesvalles again, just because I had two experiences. The first time was really good. It was a sunny day and clear and great because of the views and the scenery. It's just a beautiful walk. The second time we had clouds, so it was a little bit tougher, but it's just as interesting just because of the nature of walking that way and going there. So I would probably pick that one as well. And then walking into Santiago is always pretty cool too, right? I mean, that's always a good feeling. It's always a good feeling to get that, to hear the bagpipes and walk into the plaza. So couldn't go wrong with that one as well.
Oh, amazing. Nice answers. Nice answers. So,
Thank you.
Bill, last question. What would you tell someone who never walked the Camino?
What I would tell someone to walk the Camino. Well, first of all, follow, listen, answer the call. You know, don't hesitate. When you can do it, do it. Make the decision, but go. Don't don't stall. Don't put it off. Don't tell yourself you don't have time. You do have time. Make the time to do it. Whether it's, and you don't have to walk for 30 days or do it. There's many ways you can do it in much less time. For example, my first time I biked it, you've biked it, you know what that's like. So you can do it a little bit quicker that way. And it's just an interesting experience in that regard, or just take walk part of it. Some people, I've met people that walk a small part every day, every year for many years, and just do, you know, a week's worth or whatever, and then come back the next year and do it in stages. So I would just go. That would be my first thing. And then the second thing is, don't overthink things. Don't worry about, you know, what your plan's going to be, and just follow your heart and be open to it. And I think from my perspective, it's really the thing that's on the American Pilgrim credential. It's live in the moment, welcome each day, value the people that you walk with that day. Also think about the people that have walked before you. And I'm at loss for the last one, but those are the ones that welcome each day. It's challenges, live in the moment, respect the people you're walking with, and, you know, honor them. Those kinds of things I think would be a good thing to do as you kind of, once you're there. That's what I would be more focused on, what's in your heart, not so much what's about the logic and what's in your head, but listen to the things inside your heart in that regard. So
So, Bill, one of the best answers I have ever.
thank you.
Thank you so much. It really was amazing. Thank you for doing this with me. It was amazing. Thank you so
It
much.
was a pleasure, my honor too. Thank you, Guillermo. I appreciate it.